Hi, this is Kimberly. Please enjoy our podcast, but remember our doctors are only here to educate, not diagnose. If you have any questions or need any further information, please email me. My email address is kim@mfwellness.org.
All right, well, a couple weeks ago, we had that wonderful podcast. We're like, hey, we're going to be in the new building when we record our next podcast. It's going to be wonderful, but I should have known by opening my mouth. What I did was invite into our lives the mischievous sprites that go and ruin construction projects.
Happen chance.
So now, the one thing I promised is we'd be in our new building, and if we weren't, I said we would, quote unquote, do it from the parking lot. So here we are in the parking lot of 1755 Stump. 4 people in the official vehicle of Midwest Family Wellness, which is a Dodge Grand Caravan, which is what pretty much everyone in our practice drives, all the staff members drive. It's just a wonderful vehicle.
This kind of looks like an episode of Carpool Karaoke.
It really does.
That's what it looks.
Except we're not driving around.
Yeah,
Instead,
nobody's driving us.
Instead, it's carpool chiropractic.
We're just 4 people suspiciously in the back of a van that's turned on but isn't moving and doesn't have
Thank
a
goodness
driver.
our windows aren't shaded.
I know. They are. Well, they're tinted up, bro.
We need privacy, guys.
I guess everybody else's kids have this thing where they take the window blocker down and then they complain that the sun's shining in their eyes.
We had that for 2 seconds with Landon and Chandler. They broke them immediately and wouldn't stop touching them. So
I know, my sons too. But
so now UV rays.
So you get UVB.
Yeah, that's right.
Learn your lesson. So we thought we would go over this podcast from the point of view of the car driver. And so we're going to cover 3 topics for people. Dr. Brad is going to cover how to not be in pain and stuff you should do during long road trips. Because someday COVID will be over and it'll be road trip season. Mm-hmm. And when you go into a town that you're not from, people won't shun you like you've got the plague. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we want you to be prepared for that. Like pretty much all this is going to be over and it's going to be summer. And then all of a sudden it'll be like people like, oh, they're going to jump in the car and it's just going to be a disaster. Dr. Matt is going to cover your posture, how he wants your spine to look while you're sitting, driving your vehicle. And then I am going to talk about one of my favorite topics to scream about, which is whiplash and its recovery in the car accident. So a car accident themed podcast from a van.
Do you think this has been done before?
No.
You know?
Do you think it has?
Probably not.
I mean, the only way we could follow this up is if we did other podcasts from those areas. But what else do we talk about? That
Well, we still have our porta potty.
Porta potty's
on
still
the
here.
site, so
yeah,
we could do one about
porta potty usage.
going to the bathroom.
If you need to pee
Podcast
by our new building, that porta potty is going to be leaving here in the next couple of weeks. So you better come do your job.
It's right there on the road.
Right, it's right there on the road.
Here when we do
you
the
can hear
next-
cars.
If it's
feet
here the
going-
next time we do a podcast, I will do the podcast from the porta.
Johnny,
I
on the
wouldn't
spot.
want that on my worst enemy, Dr. Fink.
Well, I'm not your
Anyway.
worst enemy, but I'm willing to do it.
All right. Okay, so Dr. Maurer, why don't you
Well,
lead us off?
I was going to let Dr. Matt go. 'Cause
yeah.
I don't want to step on Dr. Matt's toes. He's doing the posture.
like you
and I
did
don't
with the
wanna-
grilling episode?
Yeah.
Where you straight up just took it? Nobody remembers that?
I don't
Or you
remember
took it?
I
Who was supposed to talk about
I
grilling?
was the person. I steal everybody else's topics. I never talk about what I'm supposed to talk about. That's a part of the show everyone enjoys. Like, oh, what's Dr. Matt going to talk about? Nobody knows.
Certainly not what was on
Because it's
his-
never the right thing.
It's certainly not what was in the production notes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. All right, so Dr. Matt, you lead us off then.
So let's talk about the posture when we're getting into the car. A lot of people just slide in. But really, you should be going butt first.
Oh,
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular, that's
holy
right.
cow.
You should be approaching, you should be backing it into the seat and then tightening your core and swinging your legs
Oh, dang.
gently underneath your
Oh,
thing.
my God, that
people
is
just,
not what I do.
Yeah, a lot of people just half and half, right?
Yeah, I Dukes of Hazzard that.
Yeah, you open the door, you have 85 things in your hands,
Yeah.
you reach over,
Yeah.
you put your coffee down,
Plop in. And
you plop in,
Yeah.
and you're like, huh, and you grunt. It's like, oh, I finally made it to this
You hit your head on
this
the...
device. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So you really want to be careful when you're getting into a car because you can actually injure yourself. And when we talk about micro trauma, how many times you get in and out of your car? A lot. And you know, if you're getting in another car right before the day starts to drive to work, to get out, that's 4 times right there. And then if you forget something, you walk out to your car. Anyway.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things to kind of look at how your posture when you're getting into the car. Tighten your core, make sure your shoulders are back. When you go to sit down, every car is different. And if you have more than one driver in your car, or that takes the car, you got to check your mirrors and your rear view mirror. Because depending on how it is, you will stretch or compress your spine depending on where the mirrors are located. So you just want to make sure that you can see those without being too out of a line or straight.
Makes a lot of sense, dude.
Yeah. When we look at where our hand placement is on the wheel, 10 and 2 or 9 and 3. 10 and 4, 9 and 3.
10 and 2.
What'd I say?
10 and 4, man.
Where's
People
4
are going to
at?
wreck their cars all
Like
over.
this?
Yeah.
Now people recommend 4 and
Yeah.
8.
4 and 8.
4 and 8.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Because of the
4 and 8.
airbag.
Yeah, because of the airbag.
10 and 2 blows your arms
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really what happens.
Right. I hope it's not.
But no, I
okay.
do hear the...
Wow.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So we want to be careful where we're putting our arms, and obviously 10 and 2, if you have an airbag, put them at 4 and 8. The other thing is when we talk about upper back posture and low back posture, we want the seat to be comfortable to help support your spine. And how many curves? The 3 curves that we have looking laterally from your spine or from the side. So the neck curve, the upper back curve, and the lumbar curve. All right. A lot of times in our cars now, we can increase or decrease the tension from the low back. And so
Right.
you want just a little bit of a support guy, and you don't want to be leaning too far backwards. So really, the perfect posture would be tighten shoulder blades, relax, roll back your shoulder blades as you're gripping the wheel at 4 and 8.
Somebody should invent a contraption that comes up over your seat and grabs your clavicles and pulls you back.
You mean
And pins your shoulder blades.
Right.
Until you get to the car.
I think that's what a strangler does.
No, they go for the throat.
In the car.
I mean, you gotta check your back seat, bro.
You got to check your backseat, bro.
I already did.
Is there anybody
We're
there?
in his
You guys are
backseat,
in it.
bro.
Let's do it. You guys are in the way back seat. This is middle
Oh,
back.
the way back.
Yeah. You guys are in with the older kids. That's their area.
This is a cool kid spot.
What's
Oh,
that?
I should
Cool
be in
kids.
here.
Yeah. You're in James's spot and you're in Jackson's
Actually,
spot.
my spot's right
In the middle, that's
in
true.
the middle.
Kim, sometimes Jamie comes to the office with this car, and we take Dr. Matt out once a year for his birthday.
His birthday.
And all the boys' birthday, because they're all of my sons and Dr. Matt were all born in like the same month. And we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and then we go to Barnes & Noble. And Matt rides right there and there between James and Jackson, and he makes their life a living hell. It's hilarious.
Wow.
When they were little, it was funny. Now they're all almost the same size. It's pretty great.
Yeah, James is huge.
Yeah. He's 6'2".
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
sorry.
would be a really important podcast for James to listen to.
Yeah.
As
All
he
these young
begins-
people. Yeah, absolutely,
As he
Dr.
begins
Finn.
driving or none of
Okay.
stuff.
Thank
So,
you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
All
Glad
right.
to be of service.
And now Dr. Bauer wants to talk about stuff that we can do on road trips. The road trip is the quintessential American summer experience. You know, if you go to our friends in Europe and you drive for an hour and a half, you're in a different country. You drive for 2 hours, I mean, who even knows where you are? But here, if you drive for an hour and a half, you're in Colombia. Like it's nothing. You're not even halfway across the state. You know? And so road tripping, and this is Missouri, you know, you go to Texas, Arizona, then you can drive for a long time in a straight line and not. So road tripping really has set itself aside as an American experience.
Well, other
Yeah,
than,
oh, yeah,
other
your
than
trips.
2020, where we only made one trip to see my family in Ohio,
Right.
normal years we at least, usually about 4 times we make
Yeah,
that
man.
trip. It's about
Holidays.
6.5, 7 hour trip. And so I'm going to share a few things that I try to do, and a little bit building off of what Dr. Matt just talked about. The first one is my favorite thing to do, and it has to do with the lumbar curve Dr. Matt was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to do seated pelvic tilts.
Nice, bro. Nice.
Because, yeah, when we're driving, especially for a long period of time, even if we have a pretty good seat, we tend to see that curve going the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of slouch down. We have a negative lumbar curve.
Right.
So what I do, I try to remember this about every 20 minutes, is to do what I call a pelvic tilt, seated pelvic tilt, where you rock that pelvis forward, create a big lumbar curve, tighten those muscles. Only hold that position for about a second or two, relax. Do that about 15 to 20 times, and then continue that whenever you think about it. I try to do it about every 20 minutes or so.
And all these tips, they're for the driver and all the passengers?
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially the driver, because they don't tend to move around as much. I think as a passenger, you kind of switch positions, and that's another important thing to do. If you're a passenger,
Right.
try to switch those positions, and so that's a big thing. Doing those seated pelvic tilts.
It's really it.
If you're in the office and you want us to show you how to do that, we can do that.
Resetting the
He's
muscle
great at-
spindles, man. Or
Yeah.
muscle, and it's really it.
And kind of along those lines, also what Dr. Matt was talking about, be conscious of tension levels. You know, I feel like, especially if you're in a lot of traffic, we start to feel those shoulders going up towards your ears.
Absolutely, man.
Our head starts going towards the windshield, and we may not even realize it. So I know sometimes it's kind of crazy, but if you're just cruising down the highway, not a lot to worry about. Think about it. Relax those shoulders, bring that head back, and kind of get that posture back that you should have. So those are two big things. The other thing I have is making sure you take some breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I know we all want to get to where we're
Yeah,
going
right.
as quickly as possible. We
Right.
can like time ourselves to see how long it takes.
Right.
But, you know, if you're going over a couple hours, that's too long.
You gotta get out of the car.
It doesn't have to be a huge long break. Pull over somewhere where you can, hop out, do some stretching, do some walks,
Right.
get warmed up.
Mitigation. Like,
Yeah.
you can't undo it. You have to mitigate it as it comes in. Nice, bro. Nice.
And then one other thing is, if you do have someone else with you, especially if, let's say you're going over that 6.5, 7 hours, if you're going on a 12-hour trip, don't try to be the hero. If you have someone else with you who is capable of driving, let them drive, even if it's just for a few hours of the trip.
That's easier said than done. But yeah,
It is, but see what you can do.
Yeah.
I feel like you maybe have a problem with this.
I do. I have a problem with anybody doing anything that I can do. But that's just driving.
Okay.
Just my problem in general I have to work on.
Right. Well, that's a different.
You know,
That's a different podcast.
self-discovery is in order, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I acknowledge it.
We could maybe talk about this next.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
I'm doing pelvic tilts
next
the whole time.
session.
What if the other person who maybe would like to take a turn driving hasn't been doing pelvic tilts? I'm saving their life.
Yeah.
So I make sure
Hopefully
I
they
always don't
listen
tell
to
anybody
this.
that I'm doing pelvic tilts.
No.
How much of this do you think translates over into people who now only commute to their desks or to their home
100%.
chair?
100%.
I mean, because a lot of people now, they
yeah.
don't drive anymore. Like, they're working from home, and they will be for a while.
Really, the same. Like when you get in your chair at work, do you plop down or do you tighten your core and secure your seat
Right.
in a way that prevents injury?
Right?
And do your pelvic tilts.
Yeah, pelvic tilts.
Yeah.
Keep that head back away from the
Yeah,
screen.
10 and 2.
That's really it. Like,
Relax
that
your
is such a
shoulders.
big
4 and
deal.
8.
Such a big deal.
Relax the shoulders, especially your mouse shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Gotta
mouse
set
using
those
shoulder.
elbows on something. We're seeing so many. How many wrist injuries have you guys seen this year, or this last year? So many more than we've ever seen before.
Up to the forearm. And
I mean, yeah, I've
elbow
adjusted so many wrists, which is great because that's a fun joint to assess and fix. It provides a ton of relief, but man, we've seen a lot. Okay, what I want to talk about is our favorite thing, which is whiplash. And whiplash and its concomitant injury symptoms are something we very rarely talk about and we very often yell about because it's an absolute disaster. Sometimes how that thing gets managed. So just so we're all on the same page, whiplash is what happens to your spine, to your neck, and the tissues therein when your body accelerates and then decelerates. That force that goes in your body goes to the highest freely movable thing. So your whole body's fixed down except for your neck. The problem is that your neck is where all the tubes that come from the command center cross the bridge of the neck and go into your body. So your brain's up there running the show, and the heart's pumping blood to him, and the nerves are coming down, and the carotid arteries are there, and you're breathing. You have all these really important fluids, and substances passing through your neck, but your neck is not restrained. And so what happens is that sudden acceleration, and then more importantly, the rapid deceleration is what causes the ligaments of the neck to deform. Now, when we talk about deformation, we have two words that we love to say. One of them is hysteresis, and the other one is creep. And so hysteresis is how much a tissue will deform or lengthen against its will. And now in humans or mammalian tissue, that always occurs along with the loss of heat. It's really interesting, a dystrophic reaction. Creep is how far that ligament will move and stay moved, how much you can load it. So if you have your knee and you apply a 10-pound weight to your foot, You know, how much will that knee allow you to change its shape with that 10 pounds? Well, if you had 20 or 30. A great way to think of it is if you take your finger, hold your hand very still, take your finger and point it up as far as you can, right? So you're holding your hand, let's say flat to the ground. Take your finger, your pointer finger, and point it up. You can go only so far, right, without moving your hand. Then you have a friend come along and gently push up on that finger. If they start pushing up too far, make sure you're ready to kick them. But if they push up, you'll notice that there's an area that your friend can take your finger that you can't get on your own. We call this the paraphysiological space, and that is the space between where your muscle tendons, in this particular case, the extensor carpi radialis longus, between how far that muscle and tendon can take you and where the joint will actually stop. If you go past that, then you have hysteresis kicking in and you deform the ligaments. Now, it is the ligaments that give our spines shape. You can have a bag of bones. It doesn't do anything until you apply ligaments to those bones. In this particular case, the posterior longitudinal and the anterior longitudinal ligaments define what the neck is going to look like. And in cases of whiplash, you have hysteresis of those segments, or of those areas. Now, here's what makes me crazy. When you deform a ligament, it goes through 3 phases, an inflammatory phase, a repair phase, and a remodeling phase. And those phases can take up to 12 months to get back to normal. If you've ever hurt your ankle, and then once the ankle pain goes away, you still have a really sloppy ankle. That is creep and hysteresis being present in your ankle. If you go on WebMD right now, and you Google whiplash, 3rd paragraph down, 1st line, luckily, whiplash goes away on its own. That's what they're saying. Ice, gentle massage for treating
Really?
whiplash.
Wikipedia says that?
No, Wikipedia doesn't say that, Kim. WebMD says that.
WebMD says that? Okay.
Kim, let's pay
They are
attention.
literally saying, don't worry, the symptoms go away, and that means that the thing goes away. And this is what's wrong with medicine. Oh, it went away. Okay, your neck joint is still as sloppy as can be. You're going to develop osteoarthritic change because those joints are hypermobile. They're not designed to move like that. You need to have therapy done to correct that curvature or excess or loss or insufficient joint play. It doesn't matter if you're in pain or not. I mean, sure, it matters, but in terms of like long-term health, you need to make sure that thing is working correctly. And that's what drives me absolutely insane. The absence of symptoms is not an indicator of health. But they're saying it right there in front of God and everybody on WebMD. Oh, hey, bro, no symptoms? You must be fine. And it's not. That's just not the case. So anyway, the point that I want to make is if you have had whiplash or an injury, please go get checked out. And please understand that it takes a long time to fix ligaments and it takes diligence. But that's because the ligaments are what allow you to stand up on 2 legs. So anyway, that's whiplash for you. There's a lot of people here that are coming into our parking lot right now. I don't know who that guy is, but I don't like him.
Is that Brian Stewart?
I think it might be.
It looks like him.
I love that guy.
What's he doing?
So there's a bunch of people here.
They just put in.
Now he's
That's
going to
true.
call my dad.
That's your
Oh,
dad.
here's another guy.
I don't know who this guy is.
Oh, I thought that was your dad.
I wonder if all these people know that there's like there's 4 people in a minivan looking at them. They're going to freak out if something happens. Now there's 2 guys here. Well, I wonder what they want. They look official.
They do.
They're going to call Ed. Maybe they're here to install something. It's probably what's going on. Okay, we are back. I'm so sorry about that. I had to go deal with somebody outside the vehicle, which is another fun part about being in a tinted vehicle, is that nobody can tell there's 4 people staring at them from 6 feet away. And that's the joy of the Grand Caravan.
The tinting worked. I think we found out.
It did. Now that Dr. Matt's got his sunscreen up, I notice he's a lot more happy. So, anyway, that is our car episode, and we don't have any more automotive episodes, but this actually is good information, especially if you have a friend who has had whiplash or been in a car accident, hasn't gotten checked out. You know, go get that checked out. The absence of symptoms, and I've screamed about it before, but it's something you really need to look at. That's it. Dr. Maurer?
Just one more bonus tip, and that is that I kind of forgot earlier.
Oh,
Make
God.
sure you're drinking water on your trip. People get
Oh, my gosh,
dehydrated,
dude. Great one.
dehydrated so bad on long trips.
Absolutely.
And the other kind of thing that will happen from that is that you'll have to get out and stretch to use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, twofold there. So, make sure you're drinking water on your trips as well. That's all I have.
Amazing.
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 Okay, Dr. Fink?
I got nothing. I feel like we covered everything.
We
and
hammered
people are
Nice
gonna
and easy,
be-
concise, like you
Yeah.
wanted.
I feel like this is really concise. I'm going to stop drinking out. We did a good job.
Kim?
I'm good.
Kim, you didn't say really anything this whole time.
No, you guys had all the information.
Is your arm tired?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I hope by the time you guys hear this, we'll be right on the very verge of moving in. And so we got delayed about 2 weeks, but it's happening. So we're really excited, really excited to finally be able to really show you what we can do as a staff. And you should be pumped up. Everyone should just be pumped up, except the people that listen in like Bulgaria and
you can't.
Madagascar
You
and
probably
the
can't
other
come and
places.
see us.
Maybe
Hopefully someday.
2022.
Yeah, I mean, we can Skype them.
Right.
All right. Anyway, so for Kimberly and for Dr. Matt and for Dr. Brad, I am Dr. Fink, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye.
And a big thank you goes out to Hug Monster Sound for somehow allowing the doctors' voices to sound even better than they already do.